Welcome to Inside the Set with SETDECOR. Inside the Set is a series that focuses on the design and decor of stories that excite us and ignite our imaginations, where we get to discuss the collaborations between production designers and set decorators, and hear firsthand accounts of how those works of art came to be, from their inception to ideas on the page through completion, where we sit in the dark and experience them collectively.
Welcome to Inside the Set with SETDECOR. I'm David Smith, SDSA, and today I'm pleased to welcome set decorator Cindy Coburn and production designer Kevin Bird to discuss their spectacular work on Hulu's new series, Paradise. Cindy and Kevin, thank you for joining me.
Hi, David.
Thanks for having us. Yeah,
thanks for having us. Pleasure.
Well, I'm really excited to talk to you about this show. I have to say, when I first heard about Paradise, I thought, oh dear, I don't want to see another, depressing end of the world series. And then I realized that Dan Fogelman had written it. And years ago, I did Crazy Stupid Love with Dan, and I've done a pilot with him, and I think he's one of the nicest guys in the business. And that really took me to the series, and I was blown away by it because it hits you on so many different levels. I think also there's a little bit of a political edge to it and a little bit of a fear mongering about the future. How did that affect each of you?
You're right. Dan Fogelman's take on this is completely different. We've seen a lot of bunker shows. We've seen a lot of post-apocalyptic shows. And even though we're doing that, we're trying to do it in a different way. And there are some dark themes, but mainly it's sort of a hopeful story about family and people thriving, and making the most of it.
he's really good at writing about families and bringing families together and piecing that together. He's just really strong in that area.
And humanity,
So much.
Clearly the Xavier's family unit is very important to the show. And I think Dan does that so well, the dilemma of Xavier having to believe, that he has his job and he's being part of all of this and not sort of being railroaded into it, but not. And then his wife, who is just, a fireball.
Yeah, for sure.
I just find the whole show it's layered as I know that Dan does. All of his people are very much multidimensional. No one is really terribly one-dimensional with him.
Hey David, I didn't know you did Crazy Stupid Love. That's amazing. So you know John and Glenn as well then?
I know John, absolutely.
Great. Yeah, been so good working with them. I think with also just Cindy and I really wanted the things you're talking about, those points about Dan. That's why the sets had to feel different in that way too. We weren't doing the bunker show of bunk beds of people just crammed in, and so it was very important to Dan, the mood of the town that we captured, this idyllic idea of
Americana,
what a billionaire might have planned with enough time and money, might have come up with. And we never wanted it to be out of reach. We're walking the fine line where we wanted it all to be scalable, stuff that's available now, but obviously on a crazy scale. But that was also very important to us. We didn't, fall too quickly into, unbelievable tech and things like that.
and it was also like in the furnishings for the houses. I mean, they had different levels of where your placement was in society. So it was kind of like they went out to one place and bought multiple sofas, beds. So all the furniture we kept very light to keep it light, because it was a dark theme. So that's kind of what we were going with the furnishings on that.
Yeah, that the town that they live in, the worker bees, if you like, in their sort of idyllic New England looking architecture, and we wanted the houses to feel. It's a tough one because we in the art department love to age everything, make it have character. These are 3 years old max, so we wanted it to be a calming environment, and so that carried from the location finding into the interiors for sure. That it was. Even the art directors, we rounded all the corners and the walls and things like that, just to kind of make it feel like a soft, safe space. Yeah, Cindy's right. There was a very limited choice for people down there, unless you're in the upper classes. They have a different set of rules, obviously.
The top 2%, absolutely. You're working out of Paramount, correct? You
Yes.
did season 1 out of on Paramount backlot and on stages there as well.
We also did Warner Brother backlot. That's
I
where
know
our
you did
hometown-
Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
Very much.
Yeah.
So, and how many stages do you have, or did you have for season 1?
Is it 4?
I think we have 4 big ones with a couple of swing set stages too for you know, just a couple of the smaller sets, room sets and things. But yeah, we had 4, we were in 4, same as now. I think we have 4 big ones.
And
for
then
the
underneath the
spring.
stages, we were underneath the stages as well.
Yeah. We're shooting everything at Paramount that can be shot.
So part of the basement was an old prop house at Paramount. You shot that as well?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we're underneath there all through that area. We had the bar. What was it? The bar storage?
Yeah, exactly. And then our great VFX team gave you that infinite hallways of liquor. They took like 50 years worth of alcohol down there with them. So we had this, you know, extended that set. It was kind of fun.
How many stages did you shoot that had a basement?
It was more like it was the it's the sort of subterranean Paramount, right? It's not, they are attached to the stages, but they're not featured as part of the stage. It was you know, access areas and things like that.
Over underneath 30 and 31, they have a basement under there as well.
Yeah.
Is that where the ramp goes down?
Yep.
Yeah. We had one of those as a gold room on something that I did there once, and it was great fun.
Yeah, we have a gold room down there as well.
I knew that you were using Warner Brothers because it was so recognizable as the Town Square. For those of us who know.
Yeah, it's
So-
tough.
Right.
So, and Kevin, you brought up the fact that usually we go onto a back lot and we try to age everything and make it look old and have more patina and to have been around forever. But in this particular case, everything, as you said, needs to be a little newer. How did you walk that line between trying to make the backlot look real and yet a new fantasy created town?
Going back to the beginning, we, you know, in the prep phases really came up with you know, we did a lot of research and had the design Bible, and we pulled a lot of reference we liked, and we sort of designed the city from the ground up for real. So we, you know, the urban planning, the style of homes, all the stuff that's above the dome and below the ground level, just so we knew in reality what would be somewhere when we go to there in the scripts, and so the writers understood, how does this place really work? And I think where we were looking for the perfect downtown Americana, and we looked at a lot of locations, and then we realized that we are going to have to sort of scaffold this thing together. It doesn't exist. And I think until we found our Xavier neighborhood, it all kind of fell together. And then we realized we know what that is now. That makes sense. And Dan loved it. And I think that then took us to Warner Brothers, and where we like, how do we reinvent this a bit? Because I know it's you know,
Insane. Yeah.
we've seen it. We just really tried to clean that up. It has that creepy Stepford vibe to it anyway, I think. So it was funny because the first time we're embracing the faux, right? It's fake. And for us, that's actually okay this time around, strangely enough.
Exactly. Well,
Yeah.
I certainly felt that watching it. It was like, I felt that you had definitely cleaned up the back lot to a degree, you know, a little bit more lush. It's shot a little bit more beautifully.
And a lot of greens too. We put a lot of greens
Yeah.
and flowers, which really,
I think the one thing that helped us shape that was we put those flower beds on the big street there, and I think in VFX they painted the street black, so it felt like it was 1-year-old asphalt, or you know, whatever, new. I think things like that really helped just really clean it up. You'll see in some of the previous stuff we did that we really thought about vehicles and what would be there, what wouldn't be there, and I think I always went back to like, if I was there in that town, I would want these things, and these things will keep everybody busy, amused, all of their needs met. we had a few different looks there. There's the control tower in the back. John and Glenn, and we had many conversations about cars. They're obviously all electric, but in the end, it was much more of a walking town than that, I think, in the end. But, you know, inside of there's Yasu there on the left. Oh, fantastic DP. In the end, we didn't do any of these scooters or any of that. But this was very early concept with John and Glenn, just to kind of find that tone. And like Cindy said, loads of greens, beautiful flowers everywhere. We embraced the greens, and, you know, we figured they would have figured out how to have a sort of sprinkler system down there.
When you started out, was there ever in the concept, how large is the town? Did they take 25,000 people? Did they take 100,000 people? How many?
25.
25,000. And we ran, well, the early scripts, I think they had Toledo, and it was 50,000 people. And then I got the job and I started to really look at that, and I called John and Glenn and said, I think that's going to be very, very crowded. Let's think about a lower number, and the writers start to work that in, and then not just out of convenience too. I think it fit the story that they were always thinking about how many supplies, how, first of all, people having families. This is why there aren't hundreds of thousands of people in it, and also backstory of just resources, food. And so we ended up with 25,000, which felt right for our size of our mountain, which is about 2.5 miles across the dome.
Obviously, there's a fair amount of visual effects in the show. When I think you said that you shot the dome in an airport hangar down in Long Beach, is that correct?
In Tustin.
That's the corridor that you enter the bunker in. That takes you into the cave itself. And the minute we saw it, I was like, it's the right scale completely. And we talked to John and Glenn and producer Steve Pierce about adding Colorado around this. For me, it's all about as real as possible. And when I started, everyone's like, said Dan hates VFX. So I was sort of like, oh my God, what? Like, what do you mean? This is a total VFX show. So, and it turned out that we were always trying to shoot something for real. That's why we went there to do this. It's giving us something physical. I mean, it was it's 10 football fields long. Cindy had to sort of figure out how to dress that. But, you know, I think it was all departments together on this one, you know, to make this work. So this is our bunker, our nuclear blast proof bunker doors that take us into the mountain. Well, that's another concept sketch. In our beginning of episode 2, Sinatra says, "Build me a city," and a helicopter goes over. And so this was a rendering I did with just thinking about what that might feel like. The scale, really, it was all about scale, because now we're in VFX. So it was, we all wanted to know what that felt like and looked like, even though it was all going to be done months after we all wrapped. That was a rendering I did there of the scale of the dome.
Right. And this is the part of the dome where the lights are to make it sunlight, correct? And night. Is that?
Yeah, it's crazy. That was I think before you started, John and Glenn and I and Yasu went to the Sphere in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I remember that.
Duffy, our amazing location manager, got us a private tour. So we flew up there, went to see the dome and how they do that LED, because we realized this is the tech we need on our monumental scale, obviously, right? Crazy scale. But that was, so we got to go up into the rafters above the dome in the Sphere, in between the inside LED wall and then the roof LED, and walked around. And that's what inspired this drawing.
That upper left image with all of the lights running down, they're like six rows of lights. Is that practical? Did you do that practically, or is that all CGI?
That's practical.
That's practical. That the top left is my concept sketch, and the bottom left is the real location, which we use as our set.
Wow. Okay. So this is the hangar in Tustin, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
And Kevin, did you say this was multiple football fields in length?
Yeah, I think it's 8 football fields long. It's the largest wood structure maybe in America. Don't quote me on that. But
it's really something to see.
It is absolutely unbelievable. I mean, our location manager sweated bullets getting us into this. Let's just say it wasn't easy. There were two of them, and the one next to it burnt down. So they're very sensitive about film crews and.
All right. And Cindy, did you have anything to do with the lights? Or was it all done by Grip and Electric?
That was done by Grip and Electric.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because where do you come up with that many?
Yeah, sure.
I think though, Cindy, what we also use this for is the area we redressed this, built a big concrete wall, and this was also where we built like a check-in area where all of the people fleeing came in through. And
Yeah, an intake area.
that was a pretty big dress for Cindy for sure. A lot of lights, a lot of
A lot of lights, a lot of barrels, K-rails, just a lot.
So yeah, I think we were in there for like a week almost, various pieces.
It was obviously block shooting, correct?
Yes.
And did you have all the scripts when you began?
No.
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 Of course not.
That would have been amazing.
Yeah, it would have been easy, better for the rentals, knowing how long you could extend.
It would have been better. And then there's some sets where we just wish so badly we built them on stage, and we keep going back to the location. It's like, we didn't know where it was going. So.
All right. So what percent of this was built on stage? I'm sure you did Xavier's house on stage, correct?
Yes. Sinatra's.
Most of the interiors, I think it was like, wasn't it 60-40 or maybe 50-50 days in and days out? We also had to chase a tax credit for this season, which took us out to this hangar as well.
Took us out to a lot of locations that were far. So it was a lot of drive time involved as well.
I know that the intake area, you had to build all those metal detectors, correct? Because there was no way to find that many, and you probably
we found them.
You found them all? Really?
Yeah.
Wow, Cindy, you're amazing.
Well, I've got a pretty good crew.
Best team ever. So lucky working with all these people. They're absolutely amazing.
And that's the one thing about this show, that everybody has been working together for a very long, it seems like a very long time. So everybody really knows kind of how that department works. So it just makes it a lot easier to move along without trying to second guess what the Grip or Electric or the DP, or any department for that matter. So it's really nice. Yeah.
That was all in Tustin as well. And then VFX cloned it. Yeah. Yeah.
Or metal detectors. Okay. I thought it was more when I first saw the sketch. I thought it was 10, It was like
Yasu Tanita, our amazing DP, who Cindy's known forever, got us together on The Company You Keep. And then we've just been so lucky then rolling into getting Paradise after The Company You Keep.
Because you were trying to get us, or chasing the tax credit, how far south did you go and how far north did you go?
What was that, Fraser Park?
Uh-huh.
That was like out in the middle of nowhere.
Fraser Park, way out there. Tustin, Fraser Park. I think those are completely different directions.
Tustin was not in the zone?
I think so. Or maybe, there's two zones, right? Isn't there like if there's I'm not sure. I'm sure they worked it so it was outside probably, so we got our days. I'm not sure. That was the library that Cindy did an amazing job on.
And where was the library? Was it part location and dressed, or was it all on stage?
It was down at the University of, was it St. Mary's College?
Okay.
And then we brought the books in from faux. Now all the faux books are over at the Advanced Liquidators.
More than half, yeah.
Yeah.
So sad. Upstairs, though, we did this retro viewing area, the second floor of this location. It was like, what was it? It was newspapers and cassettes and DVDs.
It was a listening room so that they could go back and listening to old music. And then it also had the archives of how everything was built. Like we had we had the murder weapon that was in there. And then also they had different elements of the construction of underground tunnels. So
it's partly museum or display in the library, which is great. I also love it. Presley and Jeremy go to the library to meet. I think that's such an old-timey and powerful, you sneak off to the library, telling your mom and dad that you were going to the library to meet your beau there.
That's totally, we talked about that a lot. Like they would have there's teenagers, they're going to find their space, whether it's at the edge of the world, or whether, library. I read a thing this morning that they're like 50% of under 22-year-olds wish there was no internet. So these kids be kids again here in paradise. Almost there's no internet, if you like. no cell phones. Well, there you go. That's a great shot of the library right there.
Yeah, that's a good
Oh,
one.
yeah.
It was for the, I mean, you guys picked that location for the architecture, right?
Yeah, I just thought it'd be so beautiful with them all around. We could shoot across that round atrium, and then with the ASU we designed these lights that really gave them a nice kind of made it feel more contemporary, because it's not the newest library, but I think in the end with the lighting it felt like it worked.
All right. So Cindy, how much of this did you bring in? Looking at these 4 pictures.
We brought in all the displays that are out there. We brought in all of the albums and the cassettes and the CDs. We brought in everything that's on the listening area where we have the stereos. We brought all that in. We brought a lot in.
Was that round area built, or did you?
That was there.
That was there.
Yeah. We
And
just
it
brought in all the
happened to be
albums.
a bookcase.
Yeah, we brought in from faux a bunch of bookcases that we put down below to kind of block some things out as
Right.
well. I mean, so I would think we brought about 80% of that stuff.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it was pretty involved, all the signage and the kids museum downstairs was all you guys.
And Cindy, how much prep time did you have?
I think we had 3 days in there.
Wow.
We had that, and then construction was in, and they try to give us as much time as we need. I mean, obviously sometimes they can't, on some of these locations are very expensive, but they really try, because there's just so many people involved. You got your grip electric, everybody's in there at construction at the same time, kind of just doing it. So they try to give us what we need. Do you think it's enough, Kevin?
Yeah, I think it was tough because it was in block 1, it was in block 3, and I think it was in block 4. So we had to go back there so many times and redo it. It was get better. Steve, our lead man, gets better every time. They get dialed in.
Yeah.
So did you did it for each of the blocks separately?
Yes.
Yeah, what's the thing? We weren't able to shoot all those in one go, unfortunately, just because I think there's a big thing of that with the DGA now about cross directing, and also I'm not sure that it was ready actually in time for us to even do that. So
We do that a lot with Sinatra as well. We've gone back there
yeah, we have.
3-4 times.
Dave, I was thinking about that question you asked. I had the most fun designing for the bad guys, if you like, the billionaires. I loved doing that, art hall they did. They made sure they had all the priceless works of art in their own. They're in a bunker in the bunker, those guys, and I think that was really fun. And designing the White House, and then Cal's version of not the White House, but Cal's house in paradise also needed to feel
That was fun.
presidential. That was a really good one as well, because we built a lot of that too on stage.
We built everything.
Cindy crushed the decorating on that. It was absolutely beautiful.
What did you think was so beautiful? Was it the millionaires, with all the priceless works of art? Was it the Oval Office? Was it the
I think the conference room and Cal's house, and just that flavor we created for the billionaires, I thought was a really fun world for us to.
Sinatra's office was good too.
I think she has a Venus de Milo behind her desk, and some Rembrandts kicking around. Never mind the 8 billion people left behind, but
exactly.
That's the only time Julianne has contacted the art department and said, "I'd love this set." Was about her office. So that was really nice. I mean, that we really, I can't emphasize enough how much detail. I mean, I always say I love detailing, but Cindy just goes there with the detail, and I know the actors love it.
So you built the Oval Office. You didn't use a rental set. Okay.
Oh, well, wait. Oh, David, sorry. We did the Disney set came to us in well, you've probably done it, the shape it was in, and then we wanted to make it feel like it was modern cow, right, Cindy?
Yep. Yeah. And we used Omega, which was one of our big vendors that we used. They had Garrett, who does an incredible job on drapery. Our drapery was spectacular. It's probably the
Drapery
best
was all the way through the show. The drapery is just absolutely
everywhere.
gorgeous. Yeah.
Did you use Garrett the full
Yeah.
time? Yeah,
Oh yeah. He's our guy, and he will be until we no longer shoot.
yeah. Well, you were talking earlier about you always try to do as much as you can in camera, even though knowing that you're going to do the CGI. I think it helps the actors immensely to have something that sets the real tone, you know?
Yes, absolutely. I agree.
I agree. I think there's nothing. I think nothing. Everyone gets so excited walking on one of those sets. There and Dan loves it. They're so fully realized, right?
Right.
Yeah.
My philosophy has always been it might not make the edit and it may not even shoot it, but at least if it's there, it's correct, you know?
That's right.
Yeah.
And you make it as flush, you flush it out as much as possible. I know that there was another White House happening at the same time that you were doing this, I think,
Right.
because it always happens that way. Did you have any difficulty getting the presidential things, or because you were doing Bradford, did you have so much leeway?
Right. We had leeway, and the show called The Residence, which was across the street over at Raleigh. We went there and we got some of their carpets, and I got a lot of a bunch of their smalls. We just went there and did a bulk pull because they were wrapping. And so, but as far as the sofas we had made, there's the Resolute desk, those are everywhere. We got a lot of the stuff for the Oval Office out of faux, which is no longer in existence, unfortunately. It was a lot of building the sofas, the chairs, rent. It was a combination of some renting on that. As far as like when we got into the cabinet room, like we had all the lights duplicated as far as the sconces and the actual lights in the cabinet room. So we own those if you ever need them. It was very pretty. I liked it.
I thought the White House worked especially well. Again, that sort of because we didn't have millions of dollars to build the White House because weren't really a White House show. That forced us to find locations which Cindy and I sort of managed to merge, and I think it really helps the sets that you come out of a set in a scene into a location, continue the scene, and then go back into the set. It really felt like it opened up our hallways, and which we did anyway. But yeah, so I think that was one of those things that you're forced into, but actually helped the show. And Cindy made that White House I thought it looked fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun.
Tell me a little bit about Xavier's house. Did you buy most of that, and do you have it, knowing that you're going back there?
We bought everything. We bought everything for all of the, working class. We bought all those pieces. From HD Buttercup, there was a vendor there from Australia, and he had just real heavy duty, kind of light wood, and very utilitarian. It was perfect for what we needed. So all the houses we just built because we always go back and forth constantly.
We use that just as it was really the mold for all of those different workers' homes, right? The people that live there that aren't, in the uber wealthy. I was so excited to see that set go back up. I can't tell you.
Yeah, it came back.
Yeah, really lovely. And the size of this and everything, David, obviously, because we shot the exterior of this, informed the scale, the proximity of the house next door and the garden in the front. I love all those woods, and they're almost like rice paper lights, something. They really have the most beautiful light quality.
But they're glass.
Oh, they're glass, are they?
They are, yeah. Yeah, that was a good find.
Are you talking about the ones over the island, the one over the island?
Yeah, those like, yeah. Are those, did you have those made, or did you just find a vendor for those? Those are awesome.
We found a vendor for those. The one above the dining table is like a rice paper, but the other ones had a glass, and same with the sconces. They kind of all felt the same, like a milk glass.
And of course you brought extra.
Oh yes, as a matter of fact, buy a few more because 4 of them broke in travel.
So if you were buying from an Australian company, what sort of issues did you get in as far as Was there enough of it warehoused here to get it here quickly, or did you have
Yes, there was. They are warehoused here. The name of the company is leaving me, but I can certainly get that for you. But they had good quantity, and plus it was blocks. We had enough time to order things in, which is one of the good things about shooting in blocks. You really do have the time to order and process and build on it instead of just, you know as well as I that with episodic sometimes it's just so fast and furious that you don't have time to really order things. You have to just kind of go out there and get it. But with with the timing, we had enough time to order, and we still do, even on this block that we're doing now. We've been ordering things that come in a month and a half. So it's nice. I like shooting in blocks a lot.
But of course, you're talking about 1 or 2 week delivery, which is of course probably maximum, as opposed to 6 or 8 weeks that,
No, we had, because it depends when they shoot it in the block. We had some 4 weeks on some things, 5 weeks. It just depended when it shoots.
Yeah,
But
I
I
mean,
felt like we had enough time to order what we needed to order.
oh, that's great. And
Yeah.
you knew enough, and you had enough scripts that you knew what you were actually preparing in that block.
Absolutely. That's one thing we do get. We may not get all of them at once, but we do get them in a very timely fashion, which is so helpful.
I said earlier that I really liked working with Dan on Crazy Stupid Love. That movie, the script was written and it virtually it never changed. One role got bigger, and knowing that he was going to cut it back, the agent wanted the actor to have more lines. So they gave him more lines, and then it got cut back to what was on the page when we first read the script. But we didn't have second pink revisions. We didn't go into multicolor revisions. So which is great with Dan. I mean, if it sounds like that's the same way your show is running, that there aren't too many changes.
Crazy Stupid Love was perfection. Probably didn't need it. It was so perfect. It didn't need to. When you read that script, you must have been like, "This is the best. This is so funny."
I just watched that the other night. It was very funny.
It stands up. It's so good.
And what amazes me about that is that we were able to pull off no one knowing, the family relation or putting it all together, and no reviewer ever gave it away.
Yeah, that's good.
Amazing. In fact, I went to a thing the other night with Dan, John, Glenn, and Sterling, and they were talking about it. And the audience went crazy. It's got such a place in everybody's memory and heart. I think it's such a special film.
All right, so tell me, what was your favorite set and what was your least favorite set? And on top of that, what was the most difficult thing to do, and what did you turn out to be the easiest thing that you thought was going to be difficult?
I don't think anything was really difficult. I mean, we were given what we needed to do the job, so it made it easier. And like I said, shooting in blocks, it gives you the time as well. So if you've got the money to do it and you've got the time, yeah, I don't know. I don't feel like there was anything that was difficult. How about you, Kevin?
I think for me, just generally, the hardest part is we just wanted to keep up the level, and doing that again and again and again with that much detail and that much work and that many layers is I think is the hardest thing about it, and continues to be the hardest thing about it. And I know everyone gets frustrated, but it works because it's up on there on the screen. I think my favorite set probably is the boardroom. I'm sort of an old I love the old James Bond movies. So to me, it just feels like the kind of that one. And I really liked when we did the interrogation room, the infinite mirror. I love that too. That was not that anyone would ever think about it, but it was, for me, it was a lot like, through the looking glass, because it's the first time Xavier's like, what's going on right now? Am I under this set? I think it was probably one of my, although it's not a big set, it's a simple set, but I like how it shot and how it felt. I think I'm gonna fess up. I think there's a house which we go back to a lot, which Sinatra's house, which is just full of challenges, and I wish we built that set.
Yeah, you know what? I agree with you. That one is a challenge.
That one is a challenge. And it's not that it's not a gorgeous house, but Yeah, that one's, I do over. I would do that house again for sure.
But Sinatra's house, that's within the town of Paradise, though, correct?
Yeah, yeah. She's in the gated community. She's, you know how you explain things away to yourself that no one would ever know. But in my imagination, she just rebuilt her home brick for brick, and that's why it looks the way it does. Which I think like lends to a lot of the story with her. She's about the loss of her son. It's driving the whole thing really. But I wish we'd built that.
Yeah, me too.
I have to say, she's pretty despicable as a
Yeah.
character.
She might surprise you though. She's gonna.
Yeah. That's one thing the characters do. They kind of twist and they turn and they do surprise you.
The genius of Dan Fogelman, right? You think you know what's going on, and then bam, it's whoa! It's not. They're dead, or they die, or they disappear, or yeah, nobody's who they seem.
Yep, you'll see that, especially in second season coming up.
Well, we can't talk too much about second season, although
We're not saying anything.
I'm dying to know, but I don't want to know. It's wonderful watching sort of the evil women of, you know, Sinatra and Tabari, that they both, you know, they're very manipulative.
But she does have a very soft side when she's in the hospital with her son. I mean,
Yes.
she's very she's very good in that.
Yeah, they're all Cal and Xavier's the only one who's not. They're all just puppets in her world. She's, you know, the tech mogul with a limitless bank account who controls everybody. Handpicked. Everyone in there is handpicked by her and Gabriella.
But there are people who have to make Paradise happen, right? The worker bees. We haven't veered off into that storyline very much, right? So
a little bit with Anders.
Yeah. A little bit, yeah. I mean, definitely the design and concepting of it. I don't know how much that actually made the cut. I can't recall, but we had a whole city on top of the city. You know, people working who got up and went to work in the above the dome, on the dome, which was probably 24/7 you know, maintenance and the sun. And so there was I just don't think that we came close to seeing that world, and I don't think we ever really fully went into
we were at the quarry, we're at the construction site. And
that was a lot about the building of it. But I think the funniest thing is the guy, and it's John and Glenn and I in the scout van came up with the ducts that are getting fixed when you know, those guys, the kind of maintenance of Paradise. The guy walks out onto the water and fixed the duct that got stuck, and that's how we were definitely thinking about those folks who keep the place running.
all right. Well, is there anything that we haven't talked about that either of you would like to bring up?
I think that Kevin and I have a really good working relationship together, and we just kind of, you know, work with all departments and try to make it happen. But I'm proud to be on this show. I'm very happy to be on it and grateful, really. So
yeah, I second that. I for me, because I didn't do This Is Us, I sort of came to it late in there, but they welcomed me and my art department in, and it's been great. And it really is hard and challenging, and everyone's always just steps up.
And you fit in beautifully. You and Felicity just kind of slipped right in.
Yeah, it's been good. We're happy to be there. And Cindy and I think we just hit it off right away with the way we work and the things that are important to us. And we don't, you know, we don't spend a long time talking about color theory, and we just, I think there's just this understanding once we understand what the world is. And I'm always just blown away every time I walk on the set. It's just, I love that feeling, like a kid in a candy store.
I just wanted to point out one other thing. When you were talking about the crew having worked together before, you know, Grip and Electric can sometimes be our biggest allies and not necessarily our enemies. And I think that something like this, a show that moves as fast as this does, that is as demanding as it is, it's really important to have that relationship. And if you've gone through a couple of other shows with that core crew, indeed, they know how everybody works, and that shorthand is invaluable.
Oh, I agree with you 100%. And we have been working with the Grip and Electrics for a while. So
Those guys are amazing.
Yeah,
What
they
I
are.
learned on that one first show I did with Cindy and Yasu, Tanita, the DP, because Yasu and Cindy already had that communication. So then I found out how I fit into that. And then, so I think now we have this thing where we talk about drawings really early in the lighting design, and then Cindy gets involved really early. So there's none of that finding out late when it's half built or when it's, so we really have nailed that. It's really fantastic. And his guys are, you know, the best. So it's been good.
I totally agree. And I also think that, you know, who else gets to have such a life as we do? You know, the things that we get to create and go to work happy every day.
you're learning so much about new things all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, that is definitely a great thing about working on this Dan Fogelman show is we've done. I'm not sure. Is there anything that we're not doing on the show? It's you know, abandoned worlds and then high tech things, and it's pretty crazy. Super fun.
Cindy, I just wanted to, the serendipity of your being across the street from the residents, I think is great fun, you know, and it's a wonderful Hollywood story that just, I mean, just we all do know each other, and we also know what's going on. It's good to recycle and to reuse things and put them back into stock for other people to use.
I hope the White House went back. The guys that construction coordinated such a beautiful job on it because it was just in shreds, and it looked gorgeous. And I hope it got back into storage safely next time.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, David. Pleasure. Thanks, Cindy.
Best of luck on season 2.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Inside the Set with SETDECOR. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and visit our website, SETDECOR.com.